world moves fast. Your workday? Even faster. Pitching products, drafting reports, analyzing data. Microsoft 365 Copilot is your AI assistant for work. Built into Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and other Microsoft 365 apps you use. Helping you quickly write, analyze, create, and summarize. So you can cut through clutter and clear a path to your best work. Learn more at Microsoft.com/M365 Copilot.
So good, so good, so good.
New markdowns up to 70% off are at Nordstrom Rack stores now. And that means so many new reasons to rack.
Because I always find something amazing.
Just so many good brands.
Because there's always something new.
Join the Nordy Club to unlock exclusive discounts, shop new arrivals first, and more. Plus, buy online and pick up at your favorite rack store for free. Great brands, great prices. That's why you rack.
All right, what's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the TMossBoss Show. And in today's episode, we are going to talk about people that like to use autism as an excuse for their behavior. Yes, people do that, and it is honestly one of the most weirdest things that I've ever seen on the internet. But no, there's even people that do it in real life. Like, I went to school with a kid. He never came out and said that he had autism, but you can tell that he has some form of autism. But I'm telling you, he was a kid where it's like, I never had liked partnering up with them because I knew it was going to be a situation. And the first time around, it's like, because the thing is this, I knew of this kid prior before we had a speech and debate class with each other. So I knew of him before. Like, me and him, we would walk down the same street, whether we were going home or going to school. But that was how I had started recognizing that kid, because he always would do that Naruto run where your head is down and your arms is all the way pointed backwards and stuff. But I never thought anything of that. I was like, okay, that's how he runs. I feel like that's like a waste of energy, because you got your arms up at an elevated level and then your back is down, heads up. I'm like, that just seems like that's doing a lot versus if you just ran normal, but hey, I'm like, obviously something is, different with the kid. He must be suffering from something. I don't know. Like, I don't run like that. My friends don't run like that. Nobody runs like that besides the people in that TV show. So that's why I was like, I don't know what his situation is. I'm not going to judge. I'm not going to point and laugh. I ain't going to make fun of him. None of that stuff. I'm like, that's how that kid runs. That's how that kid runs. So anyways, we had a speech and debate class with each other. And we never really had interacted in the classroom. Like, he sat off in an area, was quiet. I was sitting with my friends. I was talkative and cracking jokes. So there was a day, though, where we ended up having to do it was like a classroom exercise where it was like we had to get into groups and we just had to debate each other. That speech and debate class, I have to say, that was one of my favorite classes in school. But when he started getting involved, that's when I was like, I don't like this class no more. I mean, like, maybe if it was if he's not in the class, like if he calls out, or not calls out, but if he stayed home because he was sick, then I'm like, okay, cool, we can have a normal day. But if he was in the classroom, I'm like, I know we ain't gonna have a normal day. All right. After this particular incident, I know that after that, yeah, we never had a normal day when we had to interact. But so anyways, me and him are in the same group. I'm not thinking about him. I'm not saying nothing. And the reason why I mentioned that we never had any interactions and stuff, because that's a key thing that I want you guys to pay attention to, just in case if people are all like, oh, maybe you provoked him, maybe you said something that upset him, fam. Okay, let's just say we're debating about Xbox and PlayStation. Some kids are like, hey, I think Xbox is better because the controllers are a little bit easier to manage. Somebody says, I think PlayStation is better because they had a generational run with PlayStation 2. That's one kid. That's another kid. It gets to me. I'm like, I think Xbox is better because it has a better online access. It's a lot of people be playing Xbox games online and stuff. It gets to him. And I kid you not, this is what so I don't remember word for word what he said, but just to simulate what he had said, I remember the topic that he was talking about. I just don't remember word for word what he said. But so anyway, so yeah, it's with me, and I'm all like, yeah, I think Xbox is better because online games play better online. It gets to him, and he's like, I think water torture is it should be a legal thing. What? What are you talking about? What is that? So cause I never heard of water torturing before. And water torturing, I think that's like when they get the towel and put it over your face and start spraying it with water and stuff. And I guess it's like hard to breathe and things. I never knew of that. All right. Like the conversation was about PlayStation and Xboxes. What video game even has some stuff? Maybe a Call of Duty game. I don't know. But I'm like, I was curious about it because I was like, what does that have to do with what we're talking about? You just had the most just off the wall like conversation and things. And it's crazy because like I always wonder what kids like him, what they do in their adult life. And then when you kind of deal with people on the internet, then it's like, yeah, that's what he's doing. He's just trolling people online because there's no way possible. It's like that you were like, I guess you're normal, but it's like you were weird in high school, but you're normal now as an adult. No, I guarantee and I promise you, this kid is most likely still weird in his adult life. All right. But getting back to this interaction. So yeah, it gets to him and he's all like, I don't think he didn't say this, but I'm just simulating what, cause I do remember he talked on, water torture and I just don't remember how he brought it into the conversation. But just for an example, he's all like, yeah, water torture should be a legal, thing. So I'm confused. I don't know what water torture is. So I look at him and I'm like, what is that? What is water torturing? I kid you not. And he said it with a straight face. Now, this part of the conversation I do remember because it kind of irritated me because I'm like, I asked you a legitimate question and you're threatening me with water torturing. Like, what? I now know that I don't need to interact with you no more. But no, I look at him and I'm all like, what is that? What is water torturing? And I'm like, what does that have to do with the conversation and stuff? I didn't say that part, but I just asked him, what is water torturing? He looks at me with a straight face and he's like, you want to find out? And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, because I was getting ready to say something, but a kid had cut me off because he could see that I was getting a little irritated. Because I'm like, I asked you a legitimate question and you're talking about, do you want to find out? I'm like, please put your hands on me because all that, weird stuff that you be doing, all that's going to be out the window. I'm going to knock you out in this classroom. I'm like, I can care less what you got going on. So, but no, because it was one of those things where I'm like, I don't know. Like I was a little bit aggressive in my, I was aggressive, rebellious, like, yeah, stuff like that. I'm like, all right, you put your hands on me, it's gonna be a situation. So I'm just letting you know. I don't care what you got going on. I'm gonna let you know right here and now. I don't care what you got going on. All right, like it's one of those things that I feel like people would try to make me feel bad. Like, oh, something's wrong with him. Why are you putting hands on him? And it's like, why is he putting hands on me? It's one of those things where I'm like, look. I have respect for people that, if they actually do have autism, I'm like, I have respect for them, but for the most part, kids that be having autism don't be talking like that, and I'm new to that. Cause I'm like, the thing is, this was in high school, elementary, middle school, earlier years of high school. I was in classes. I walked past kids that had autism. I was cool with kids that had autism. They didn't act like that at all. So that's why I'm like, what's his problem? What's his deal? It's like, I feel like that kids like him or people like him, they hear that their parent or doctor, whoever tells them that they have autism, then they just run with it. And they're all like, oh, I could just get away with anything now. But so anyways, I'm like, you know what? I'm just not going to interact with this kid no more. That wasn't the last time we had an interaction because how like teachers, how they like to do it. They'll just pair you up with random kids. So, the teacher, he's pairing up all the different kids and stuff, looks at me and he's all like, Tyler, you going to pair up with such and such. Let's just call the other kid that. And I'm like, bro, I don't want to do this, man. I'm like, can I just plead insanity and just get out of this classroom? Because I'm like, I just know that the interaction, it's not going to be good. Like, you can feel it. It's like kind of like a spidey sense thing where it's like, you just know that the interaction is not going to be good. So me and him, we partner up again, speech and debate class. I'm trying to think. I can't remember. So yeah, let's just say we're debating cheeseburgers and hot dogs. All right. So I can't remember what he had. Well, you know what? No, because the thing is this, like with people like him, they don't like to stick to the conversation and stuff. So if we had like something that we needed to debate and things, like it was, he just go all the way in left field, and it's like, bro, what are you talking about? You know. But overall, though, we got the debating, all right, and that's the thing. Like if people were in the classroom, you would be able to sense that I did not want to be partnered with him. So my mindset wasn't in, debate mode. My mindset is like, okay, let me just hurry up and say something and get this interaction over with. So anyways, he said what he needed to say. Completely threw me off, because that was the thing. Like there was other occasions where this kid, he would, like, if I'm like hanging out with my friends and stuff, because there would be some friends that I would walk home with, so he'll walk up and say some off the wall random stuff, and my friends, they would respond to him. I was off up in the back being quiet. I'm like, I ain't got nothing to say to you. But anyways, getting back to this interaction in class, I'm getting distracted, my fault. So he says what he needs to say. I said what I need to say. He looks at me again, straight face, and he's like, "You suck at debating." And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna try to be, because that's something that I need to work on doing. I plan on graduating school soon and stuff. Like I'm getting to that point where I need to be an adult, and I'm like, I can't be an adult responding how I want to respond, because then it's gonna be a situation and stuff. So I'm like, you know what? I just shook my head, and I do remember him saying something along those lines, and I just shook my head, and I'm like, I just sat back, and I'm like, I just want this interaction to be over with. I'm like, I don't have nothing else to say to you. But anyways, then there was another interaction that we had, and I have to say this was probably one of the last interactions, because I just tried to keep my distance. I was practicing social distancing long before COVID. So, but anyways, so it snowed really bad one year. And there was this area of it, because our high school was, at one point in time, it was an outdoor school. So there was this area where a lot of ice had built up, and teachers knew that if a teacher or a student, whoever, if they walked down in this it wasn't really a hallway, but it was like a walkway area and stuff, somebody was gonna slip, fall, could possibly bust their head wide open, and then now you got paramedics and everybody showing up to the school trying to escort somebody up out of there, especially if it's an old person. So anyways, they had the area blocked off with chairs, and I think they had a sign up too saying "Do not walk beyond this line." And so I'm outside, because I'm a cold-bodied person. I love being outside. I don't know. I think I used to be a husky in my former life. But anyways, I'm outside. I can't remember what I was doing, but I looked over and I seen he was moving the chairs out of the way so he can walk through the ice area and stuff. So I yell out, because I'm like, even though this kid is weird, I don't want him to slip and fall and hurt himself, So overall, I yell out, and I'm like, hey, they got them chairs up for a reason. It's like there's a lot of ice built up there. He said something, pretty much he was still going to walk on through that area and stuff. And what was so crazy about it, maybe less than 20 feet over on the other side of him. No, not even on the other, both sides of him. I think one side was like less than 20 feet. The other side was like maybe less than 30 to 40 feet. Areas where it was covered and there was no ice. He purposely went up to that area and started moving the chairs out the way so he can walk through the ice and stuff. So I'm like, you know what? Nah, I'm gonna just sit back and watch, because I know he gonna slip and fall. And sure enough, he slipped and fell. Didn't feel bad, didn't walk over to check and see if he was okay. I just looked at him. It was one of those things, I was like, I didn't laugh, I didn't point, I didn't crack jokes. I just looked at him, because I'm all like, it's one of those things, if somebody's warning you and telling you some stuff, it's like, bruh, that rebellious act, gotta stop with it. It's all like somebody's trying to help you out and you just being weird for no reason and things. But yeah, man, that kid, he had issues. He's somebody where I'm like, whatever he's doing nowadays, I just, I guess on a positive note, I just hope he's doing well in life, and I hope he's doing a lot better than he did when he was in high school. But if he's somebody that's heavily involved in the internet, it honestly wouldn't surprise me if he's one of the people that I've had to deal with on the internet, where now transitioning into the next part of the episode, throughout the years, I've gotten into it with groups and communities, and one particular community, they were notorious for saying that with me, but no, so they'll just painting out a picture, painting out an example. So they'll come to my comment sections, right? they'll say something racist, wild, outlandish. I'm getting on them. And I'm like, fam, you don't even realize it, like, it's on some stuff, because at the time being, it's like, you know, I didn't really know the type of people that I was interacting with, so I'm over here thinking like, you know, they knew to this, like, to this racism stuff and things. But it's now that I sit down and I think about it, I'm like, they doing exactly what they were saying. They knew exactly what they were doing. So I'm calling them out on their behavior, you know, whether it's them being racist, whether it's them being disrespectful, whatever the case is. And they were so quick to run up and say, I'm autistic. Like, you can't say that to me. You can't, because it got to a point where I was all like, okay, I'm going to start fighting fire with fire. But I'm not going to be like, oh, let me just fight a little flame, you know, with another flame. I'm like, no, I'm bringing a nuclear explosion to your flame. And I'm going to say some things that's most likely going to hurt your feelings. That's my goal. That's what I plan on doing. And it's funny because then they would, that's when they'll, you know, pull the good old reliable, hey, I'm autistic. You can't say that to me. And it got to a point where I'm all like, why do they keep saying that every time, when it's like, you start something with me, I finish it, and then you try to make me feel bad by saying, oh, I'm autistic. Okay, and what does that got to do with me? The thing is this: if you put yourself in a situation where you're going to be arguing with somebody or getting into it with somebody, do you think that they're going to be paying attention to like, oh, my apologies, let me back off because you're autistic? Fam, you came to me and start acting crazy. I'm just trying to handle it. So that's why I was like, over the years, dealing with people when they would say that in my comment sections, because it was quite a few different times. And then I eventually I started paying attention to where it was coming from, the source and things. And then sure enough, it was the racist pedophile, formerly known as Just the Robot. Yeah, he started saying that when he got all caught up in his situation where he thought it was a good idea to defend a pedophile. And I'm like, fam, you know, I don't really know the different like variants and cases of autism and stuff, but I did go to school with a lot of different kids that had autism and disabilities and all that. And that's one thing where I've never heard any of them defend no pedophile, be racist, be disrespectful. Besides that one kid, other than that, all the other kids, they were normal. They were quiet, but they was normal. Like, there was even the one kid I remember I went to school with in elementary. I did multiple takes of this, so I can't remember if I had said this already in this take. But no, there was this kid I went to school with in elementary where me and him, we were cool because of SpongeBob. But he was you could tell that he had some form of autism. I just didn't know exactly what it was. But he was, the thing is this though, the point that I'm trying to make, he was a cool kid. He was never disrespectful. He was quiet. And then the one time where I had an interaction with them, fam, it's an interaction that I still remember till this day. And that happened 16 years ago. And I'm like, because that was something I wasn't expecting. I wasn't expecting to relate to this kid off of the SpongeBob movie. So that's why I was like, man, you know, but I seen, I'm like, bruh, he's a cool, this is somebody where I'm like, if I seen him out in public, I'm like, hey, bro, how's life? How is everything? I'm like, you know, what you got going on? What's your plans and goals? And whatever it is, I'm like, fam, I'm gonna accept it. I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna wish him the best in life, and I'm gonna go on about my day. But that other kid, I'm like, hey, look, I ain't got nothing to say to you. I'm like, if he recognizes me, I'm like, don't recognize me. I'm like, just if you see me, go on about your business, bro. Because I'm like, I ain't got nothing to say to you. It's those kids where it's like, you know, you could tell that they have some form of autism, where it seems like that they don't want nobody to know. But then there's those others where it's like they want to, I guess, display it, but they want to display it in a bad way. And I feel like that it puts out a bad name for people out there that actually do suffer from autism. And that's why I just wanted to more so do this episode and let people know. I'm like, hey, look, if you suffer from autism, or you know what, actually, before I even get into that, how we need to start responding to people when they say, oh, I suffer from autism, you can't say that to me, you can't do that to me. No, we need to start questioning them. Okay, it's like, what form of autism do you have? You know, it's like, because even with the racist pedophile that I was dealing with, where he always was coming out and saying that, and it's like, okay, what form of autism? You know, the funny thing is that I remember where it was me and my friend K-Hug. I think that's what we had called him out on social media. We called him out on how he likes to bring that up. he likes to bring that up, that he suffers from autism. And so he tried to play it off and make it seem like he didn't know what we were talking about. And he was like, I think he said like show proof or something like that. And it's like, fam, every video that you done uploaded since October 2024, you've been saying that. So it's like, how are you going to try to make it seem like that we just randomly made this stuff up? You've been saying it in your videos and even in other people's videos. So he was doing calls with people and was even bringing it up in there. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, fam, it's something where I'm like, now you have short memory loss. I'm like, yeah, it's something where I'm like, yeah, but no, that's how we need to start responding to these guys when they bring it up, where it's like, what form of autism do you have? Because there's different forms of autism. They ain't like, oh, I just have autism, accept it and move on. No, it's like, what form of autism do you have? Because I imagine you probably have some diagnosis papers, or your parent either told you or a doctor told you what form of autism that you have. They can't just be all like, oh, you have autism and then that's it. It's like, do you have ADHD? Do you have ADD? Do you have Asperger's? Like, what is it that you have? But it's like, if you just like, oh, I have autism, accept it and move on. I don't believe that the people that, go and say that they have autism and they just say that because they want to use it as a get out of jail free card when they're being disrespectful or harassing people or saying something crazy to people online, they don't have autism. They don't. They heard somebody say it and now they just want to run with it, but they don't have autism. But no, overall though, to the people out there that do suffer from autism, don't feel discouraged for having autism, and don't let these people on the internet be the spokespeople for people that do suffer from autism, because like I said, they don't have autism. But you do. Whatever form of autism that you have, talk on it. Let people know about it. But it's one of those things where it's like, like I said, you cannot feel discouraged for having autism. Because I'm like, yeah, there's a lot of people out there where it's like, yeah, they have it, they deal with it, they talk about it, they let other people know. They're a motivational story for other people. So it's like they can, I guess, tell their own story on whatever form of autism that they have. So yeah, that's why I'm like, man, it trips me out though, like people, they just use it like, and like it's just like breathing to them and stuff. And I'm like, man, I don't know, I couldn't be that type of person. I couldn't be that person where I just downplay autism like that. But I guess, we live in a day and age with the internet where people, they're just careless on whatever it is that they're talking on. And so, yeah, stuff like that, autism, they're not going to care. They ain't going to care if they offend people with autism. If anything, they're going to try to make, and that's the type of stuff that they would do too. A person with autism, they will confront them over it. Like, hey, you can't just be using autism like that. And they'll try to make a person that has autism, try to make them feel bad for calling them out on their fake autism. It's something where I'm like, we live in a strange time with the internet and stuff. But overall though, like I said, I just wanted to end this off on, letting the people know that actually do have autism, don't feel discouraged for having autism, and don't let the fake people, or the fake autism people out there speak up for you guys. You speak up for yourself. But the people with this fake autism, that's what we gonna start calling it from now on. People that want to act disrespectful and rude online and then claim, oh, it's my autism. No, it's not. That's you. You might have autism, but the one that's being racist and all that other stuff and being disrespectful, that's not the autism speaking. That's you speaking. So, but anyways, with that being said, I will talk to y'all later. Thank you guys for watching and or listening. Stay tuned for the next episode, and peace.